21 Savage is reportedly in a full meltdown after his wife, Kiana, allegedly pursued Latto in a manner that people are describing as dirty. Rumor has it that she attempted to kill Latto rather than only checking her, and Savage has now gone totally crazy behind the scenes. According to insiders, he became so furious that he almost destroyed his entire family. And in real time, the consequences are getting worse. The situation becomes even worse. Though, because a few days ago, 21 Savage and Latto were caught on vacation together, which essentially validates what fans have been yelling for years, that he's been skulking behind his Latto's back with the wife. Social media was ablaze with the images alone. However, now that his wife is supposedly entering this hazardous area, Savage is being compelled to choose a side in the most explosive manner conceivable. The girly stuff is going to get really messy, you know? Can you do something for me? 21, then? Alright everyone, bulls seem to have recently discovered that Kiana is not the person you wish to toy with. She doesn't play with Hermie Herman and 21 Savage, so it's the quiet ones. However, given that he was just caught, it appears that he plays with her. Red-handed, again tampering with Latto, as you are already aware. There has been a long-standing rumor in the streets that these two are definitely involved in something, but until today, we haven't had any concrete evidence. In other words, Latto and 21 had not only been dating for a long time, but they also had the audacity to go on vacation together, and even posed as honeymooners for a fan to take photos of them. Now, they are unquestionably together. However, rumors have said that Kiana did not take this well. Many insiders claim that she attempted to jump with her girls. Latto, a few days following the photograph's widespread popularity, we don't know how bad Latto's injuries and bruises were, but they were reportedly sustained. Additionally, based on she's fortunate to have avoided serious injury because Kiana Fulen allegedly planted a plot to kill her. Supposedly, she must have become weary of Bella's constant play in her face because it had gone on for far too long, according to reports. She decided to take matters into her own hands, but unfortunately for her, 21 wasn't as remorseful as we all thought he would be because he didn't feel bad about getting caught. According to sources, he and Kiana even got into a heated argument that nearly descended into violence. He is said to have lost it on her when she confronted Latto and threatened to divorce Kiana unless she was aware of her role and behaved appropriately. As outrageous as it is that he would behave in this manner when he was the one who was cheating, I must admit that it isn't particularly startling because I'm sure you've all heard the allegations that he just married Kiana too, be able to lawfully remain in the US, obtain his green card. At one point, ICE even detained him and arrested him due to visa concerns. But before we knew it, he had married Kiana and they had children. People on the streets have been saying that he simply had children with her in order to give the impression that their marriage was genuine. If ICE had believed that he had gotten married for a visa, he would have undoubtedly been deported. Since, as you are all aware, these fictitious marriages for visa fraud are illegal objectives. However, stories about him and Latto began to circulate shortly after he married Kiana and before his green card was granted. Additionally, stories began to circulate a few years ago when fans noticed some very similar vacation photos. It was about 21 and Latto. They had exchanged photos that appeared to have been taken on the same vacation in Puerto Rico. Additionally, despite their low-key approach, people almost immediately put it all together online. It was difficult to overlook now because of the lighting, the coordinating environment, and the minor background features. After fans became aware, the rumor grew into a never-ending rumor about whether the two were more than pals, and that conversation hasn't really slowed down since interview. Additionally, they were spotted slipping more than once. 21 Savage made himself public by sharing and removing a message on Instagram stories where he scribbled, "No, maker," and dropped a photo of Latto. "You're fine, damn it, twin. There's just one way for me to approach you." Fans didn't require further evidence by that point. Everyone could see the writing on the wall that this was the way to go. More profound than friendship. Since those inside the scene had already clocked the T, it wasn't only fans who were making the connections. In her tune, Trias, rapper Dream Doll essentially blew the lid off with a sentence that caused everyone to pause and go back a little. "And yes, motto. That's she replied. 21, when asked how many times she had visited Little Honey, considering how 21 apparently just went off on Kiana for the jumping lot. You do believe that he would have maintained that same level of energy at that time? Well, no. First of all, he still needed Kiana and lacked his green card. Furthermore, he couldn't have simply divorced Kiana, and instead, he married Latto because he would have been deported and the immigration scam would have been exposed. Rather, he denied that he had an affair with Latto, and he even pretended that they considered it. However, he didn't simply ignore it and go on. He threw himself into shutting it down. He always took care to correct the record whenever the subject was brought up. For example, when he categorically denied having everything related to the lottery, he also wasn't at all ambivalent about it. He came across as powerful, demonstrating that he believed the entire rumor to be absurd and unworthy of being entertained. Furthermore, that wasn't an isolated incident. He was carrying exact same mindset in interviews and on social media, intensifying anytime someone attempted to rekindle it. The longer the murmur persisted, he pushed back harder, obviously. Desperate to end the story before it has legs,
For a long time, I don't do all the antics and shit. I don't got a celebrity girlfriend. I'm not finna be out everywhere. I'm not dropping music every other week. I'm not going on live talking about it.
He also acknowledged being married in a different interview, stating, "I can't really tell you all that. He can't be told everything. I'm contentedly in love. I have a spouse. I'm content." Lot was so enraged by this that she immediately unfollowed him on Instagram. And for a time, we believed that she and her spouse were no longer together. However, Latto is obviously their bold side piece kind. So it didn't stop there, because she got a tattoo of 21's entire name, including his complete mother's name, Shia, and government name in her ear, even after he denied ever being with her. And since there aren't many Shia people, it was indisputable back then. Consequently, it couldn't have happened by chance. Latto, however, wasn't too happy about all the attention her tattoo received. She and her team contacted Jason Lee, the owner of Hollywood Unlocked, since she was so disturbed by the response. According to accounts, she even made him an offer. Money to have the picture removed, but that's a bit severe, isn't it? She obviously had no idea how big of a hit her daring move would be, and she was prepared to go to any lengths to make it disappear. Fans soon realized how desperate she was and how far she was prepared to go try to clean up the mess. However, it just made matters more chaotic, stoking the flames and sustaining the drama.
And then I started getting calls from your team saying that you allegedly wanted to pay me to take it off of Hollywood Unlocked. And I wasn't going to remove it, but I asked my team to check to see if anybody else had posted. And although I think we posted it first, everybody started posting it, and then it became a thing where I think then she got, from what I understand, was unhappy with us not taking it down because no calls had been returned. I reached out to her team. We had a
And it was at this point that Kiana began to assert herself and say that 21 was her special someone. And this was the start of her rocky relationship with Latto. Yul had become too arrogant and disrespectful. However, before all, how Kiana's marriage to 21 Savage was even discovered, because the discovery narrative is crazy. It all started when Kiana shared a picture of her dinner in passing with a man who wants to remain nameless. As you are all aware, the internet never stops working. A keen-eyed fan zoomed in on a small detail. On the table is a phone case. It appeared completely random at first, but soon individuals began to make connections. The identical phone face that resembled 21 Savage has already been spotted with previously. We discovered that she was, in fact, 21's secret wife after fans did the arithmetic. Fans now began to speculate that Kiana may have intentionally revealed information of her marriage slip, demonstrating that she wasn't merely a former lover or an ex. She was the real deal, the right one, the wifey. Furthermore, that idea seems far more plausible than the notion that supporters discovered the entire affair. By simply noticing a phone case, she was publicly wishing 21's mother a happy birthday, which was one of the most notable occasions. It was a modest message, but the gesture was meaningful and said a lot. "Happy birthday to the most amazing mother-in-law a girl could ever hope for," she wrote. "I cherish you." Now, you believe that Latto would have retreated after receiving the warning? Not quite. That is. You see, she not only didn't retreat, but she also became extremely rude. She even went so far as to make fun of Kiana in a song for sticking with 21. Despite knowing that he was unfaithful,
You let them cheat and take them back. Must be your only nigga. I get loud just like my weed. I don't watch my tone when.
well, that seemed to be the decisive factor. Additionally, in keeping with her modest demeanor, Kiana made no big announcements regarding her departure from 21. Rather, she left a little hint that made everyone take notice. She altered her Instagram bio from Kiana Joseph, mother of two, to simply mother of two. Reports now state that she was heading total leave 21 following Latto's rude remark, but it would have been detrimental to him. Kiana had already left, and he still lacked his green card, and there would have been problems between him and Ice if Kiana had left. Discuss Ice, sweetheart. She remained with him nonetheless and canceled the separation. You would assume that he would get his act, together and change his ways as a result of this? Well, no. He, ultimately using an exotic dancer to cheat on Kiana and Big Mama. I'm referring to a private dancer here. You understand what I mean? Lot was so enraged that she allegedly caused the dancer to have a home miscarriage by getting her jumped. The fact that she was harmed over 21 is still kind of crazy. Affair when she's a complete sidekick as well? Make it make sense, girl. When she argued with a random TikToker, she even boasted about it, regarding a completely unrelated matter. Who are you describing, she wrote, because it's not me. Leave those T-pages alone. You're going crazy. You read about my man on TikTok getting whooped outside the club in the last post. Additionally, the woman retorted, it's a choice too. Say I'm going crazy while you're threatening someone on TikTok over a hashtag. I hope you get better. In a deceptive manner, Lo essentially acknowledged that the dancer had leaped due to 21. She went above and beyond once more for a man who refused to even acknowledge her in public, or their purported partnership. This leads to Kiana allegedly giving Latto a jump in return for interfering with 21. At this point, if anything, it karma. However, Elle felt justified in crying about it at the age of 21 for some reason. For me, it's the arrogance of you all, because are you a side piece or something? However, if you're curious as to why 21 has since he obtained his green card some time ago and no longer requires Kiana, he has finally had the courage to be angry with her. This raises the question of whether he will ultimately file for divorce and go public with Latto, or whether she will always be on the sidelines. The entire situation is extremely explosive, and 21 Savage is caught between a wife who was claimed to have killed Latto. Furthermore, the drama isn't going to stop anytime soon. Social media is exploding, receipts are falling, and hands are picking sides quicker than before. However, there are two things that are certain. This is more than a celebrity brawl. It's a full-fledged scandal that might completely upend the 21 Savage universe. So keep an eye out, because the fallout will be wild no matter what happens next. Can you do something for me? 21? Then